Welcome to the only podcast where you can hear real employers talk about their jobs and tell you what it's like to work there. I'm your host, Chris Russell. This jobcast will feature the role of Supply Chain Intern at St. Louis-based Nestle Purina. They are a leader in the pet care industry and are seeking motivated individuals to join their team. Today we'll be speaking with Karen Stacy, a Supply Chain Management Trainee, who will tell us about the Supply Chain Internship opportunity available at Nestle Purina. Hello, Karen. Welcome to Jobs and Pods.
Hi, Chris. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. So let's start out by asking you, what does a supply chain intern do, and what locations do you hire this position for?
The Supply Chain Internship is offered at our corporate headquarters in St. Louis, Missouri. And initially, for the first couple of weeks, you really are just gaining knowledge in several different areas, in marketing, transportation, really just understanding the full supply chain. During that time, you'll also travel to one of our dry pet production plants in Davenport, Iowa, as well as our Clinton plant. And at this plant, they mainly produce our pet treats. And this is a great learning experience to see firsthand how pet food is manufactured and to truly understand the key areas in the supply chain. Mm-hmm. I know I received my project as an intern prior to traveling to the plant, so it really gave me an idea of what my project entailed and gave me that firsthand visibility. The intern, like I mentioned, will receive a project that they will work on, and it will be directly tied to the business. The intern will spend time researching and determining what steps need to be made in order to complete the project, and at the end of the 10 weeks, they will complete a presentation in front of the management team and summarize what their key learnings were on that project.
So what led you to choose a career at Nestle Purina? How'd you come to work there?
I would say what truly led me to choose to start my career at Nestle Purina was the training and development that they provided to their employees. In my eyes, this company just stands out above any other because, for instance, now I'm a Supply Chain Management Trainee at the Davenport plant, mm-hmm. and for 10 months, my main responsibility was just to learn. I spent my time training on how pet food was manufacturing and understanding the key areas in transportation, warehouse, and materials. So they truly invested a lot of time in me in order for me to receive my first management role.
Right. Okay. So they pay to learn. That's a good deal.
Exactly.
What sets Nestle Purina apart from its competitors out there in terms of benefits and culture? What would you say about that?
I would say one of the first things I noticed during my internship was the employees were extremely passionate and loved coming to work every day. The environment at Nestle Purina is very team-oriented, and everyone's truly working together to accomplish a goal. Also, at Nestle, they encourage a work-life balance. They want you to get involved in outside-of-work activities. For example, at the Davenport plant, there's always activities to get involved in, and there's intramurals, community service, networking clubs, so they definitely encourage you to be a community member as well.
Karen, as far as skills and traits go, what do you think makes a successful intern, in your opinion?
I would say, in my opinion, a successful intern possesses initiative, enjoys challenges, is one that thinks outside the box, and is also, most of all, a determined person. During my internship, my managers, they always encourage me to ask questions and look for improvement opportunities. So mm-hmm. I think that is something that definitely makes an intern successful.
Right. Okay. So what's the career path like for a supply chain intern, and where can you go from here?
After the internship, the intern may have the opportunity to receive a full-time position as a supply chain management trainee. Like I mentioned, I'm currently a trainee. This is unique in the sense that many companies do not hire interns with the goal of bringing them on full-time, mm-hmm. and that was one of the reasons why I chose to do an internship here. As a trainee, you will spend 10 months at our dry plant in Davenport, Iowa, or at one of our wet food production plants in Allentown, Pennsylvania. After the 10 months, you will then receive further training at our corporate headquarters in St. Louis, and you will spend 5 months there and gain knowledge in our order revenue management department, corporate logistics, and our customer development group department. And at the end of that 15-month training program, you can either be placed in 3 different positions: a logistics assistant at one of our numerous plant locations, a supply chain analyst in St. Louis or several other sales locations, or a transportation assistant in corporate logistics in St. Louis.
What kind of skills do you think you can learn in a role like this? What are maybe the top 2 or 3 that you can think of?
As an intern, I would say one of the most important skills I learned was analytical skills. I had to learn to analyze data and processes in order to understand where we could improve. Also, as I mentioned earlier, the intern will make a presentation on their project, so I really learned how to communicate effectively and learn presentation skills. Mm-hmm. And lastly, working well with others, an important skill that I learned during my internship. I learned how to plan meetings and communicate with others in order to get the goal accomplished.
Gotcha. All right. Can you talk about some of the projects you've worked on so far?
There are several projects that I've had the opportunity to work on, especially as a trainee at the Davenport plant. Each department that I've trained in, I've completed a continuous improvement projects, and some of the examples of those are I've worked on analyzing our current storage and ordering process for packaging supplies. I worked on how we can transfer product from our main warehouse to our outside storage facility, and I also assisted on bidding a process for our spotting service. Also, during this time, oftentimes the manager in a particular department may be out of the office for business or whatever reason, and I've had the opportunity to fill in as materials manager and transportation manager. And this has been a great experience to understand firsthand the responsibilities and the daily challenges that a manager may have.
Last question for you, Karen. How did the company support your transition from an intern to a full-time management trainee?
The company fully supported me during my transition. I graduated from a school in Texas, and Nestle Purina helped me every step along the way in helping me to move out to Iowa and ensure that all the steps I needed to make were made. And once I arrived at Davenport, I had weekly meetings with my manager to answer any questions I had or just to even catch up and talk about how my week was going or what activities I was getting involved in. And also, during that time, I had monthly meetings with our plant operations manager as well as our HR manager to ensure I was progressing in my training and getting the necessary training in any areas that I needed further knowledge on.
Great, and that will do for this edition of Jobs and Pods. Karen, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Chris, very much.
And to learn more about the supply chain intern position with Nestle Purina, please visit NestlePurinaCareers.com. We'll also place a link to their webpage from the Jobs and Pods site under this podcast. Reminder, you can find us anywhere podcasts are, including iTunes, podcast.com, and even YouTube. Thanks for listening to Jobs and Pods.